I can't really see the movie being done any other way.
I should read Beowulf now, since it's obviously so different from what we just saw.
I like the special effects. I thought it was a lot of fun. I liked the animation. I thought it was all effectively done. And frankly, I thought the dragon kicked. Yeah, the dragon was cool.
Definitely a really good dragon. Gotta give them kudos for the dragon. They did pretty well on their monsters overall, I think.
Pretty disgusting. Grendel was disgusting.
Yeah.
I almost couldn't watch some of that.
If anything else, it's worth it just to go see those monsters, even if they boiled everything else down to sex.
It blended reality and fantasy really well. It blends the two together so that you can hardly tell where one ends off and the other begins.
Did you feel like the animation was consistent?
No. Not consistent. Good, but not consistent. There were times when I thought, I'm looking at a real person. Then there were times when I was like, everything's pretty smooth So it went back and forth. It was all good, but not consistent.
Story?
I'm not familiar with the original. This is the first time I've ever been exposed to Beowulf, just because I'm illiterate. But I don't mind, it was fun.
In the original story, well,
the scholar speaks.
There's no sex, and Beowulf's just cool. He kicks butt over everything, pretty much. He just tears things apart, and then he goes and kills something else. And it is a story, ultimately, of courage, which is a story you don't really find too much very often anymore. It's actually courage in the face of danger and death, and about what it means to stick close by someone to the very end because it needs to be done to save your lives. And that sort of got lost in this movie to a degree. They still had it in his friend, you could see it. And you can see a lot of the elements of the original story that they brought through in the movie. And they did a good job of that. I give them credit for that.
There should have been more of a balance between Beowulf's like actual goodness and his pride, because they really set him up for a big fall.
Yeah.
And at first I thought, well, this is really cool. He's very flawed because he's kind of a jerk. And then it was just too much all around.
I think all the men pretty much fail in this movie, and the women. It's really a woman empowering movie, and that the only strong characters are really women in this movie.
And yet at the same time, it demonizes women, because the one character who actually succeeds and wins is the demon, and the other women, his wife goes cold. She is completely emotionless and cold through the whole movie.
I really enjoyed how John Malkovich never raised his tone like ever, even when he was beating the crap out of his servant.
I hate John Malkovich. I hate him when he's digital, and I hate him in real life. I'm sorry, John. I hate you. I hate that guy.
Why are you spilling the king's mead? The king's mead is very important. The king's mead, we love the king's mead, the king's mead, the king's mead, kick, kick.
This guy's eye, John Malkovich's eye, the weird thing his eye does in real life is in 3D.
Yeah, it's true.
Can you just imagine that the animator's going, okay, this is freaky, this is wrong, wrong. And then they just look at the reference photo of him and go, gotta put it in. Well, I felt like it was real people living in this fantasy world.
They're on the verge of creating great 3D movies. They're still just a little bit too new with it, where they're still toying with the audience too much. But there were several parts in the movie where it really wraps you in even more than a regular movie, I thought. And that parts, they actually used it well.
I've never seen a 3D movie before, and the experience was half what I expected it to be, and I felt like you were saying, the technology is not all the way there yet.
The technology's there, but the directors aren't ready for it. Because they don't know how to use it right yet.
That could be.
You know, it's like tactics in the Civil War. They've got these great new toys, but they just don't know how to use them yet.
I must say I was amused by the use of objects to obstruct the view of Beowulf's genitalia through all of the naked fighting.
Yeah, was there enough beefcake for you, Sarah?
That was quite a bit.
I must fight like them. I must fight in the nude. Like everybody in the audience that I was with was laughing because like everything was so creatively placed, you know, and I was just like, oh gosh. I mean, it was a really crazy fight scene, but I could just tell the writers and the directors going,
No,
I didn't think he
he's
was
not naked. He fights with no weapons, and it's his thing in the whole story. He fights Grendel's mother with no weapon and kills her. In the very end, he kills the dragon, and he has to kill it. Well, he breaks his sword trying to use his sword, which I thought was really funny in the original story, because, you know, here's Beowulf finally trying to use weapons, and he can't. They break.
I've heard that in Eastern Promises, Viggo Mortensen basically does the same thing, but it's the real live guy. It's not a digital version of him. He's in there with a knife in a bathhouse.
Go to him.
The women I have talked to are like, oh yes, Viggo's in this scene. It's really great.
It was a fantastically choreographed fight scene, except it took place in a bathhouse where you're not going to wear clothes. That's all.
Look, I saw that fight scene. It was dumb, it was stupid, and she was watching the naked man.
That's silly.
Interesting thing about the movie was the anti-Christian bent, because in the actual story,
interesting.
Beowulf calls on the Christian god. He is essentially meant to be a Christian in the original story.
They just dismissed it right away. I mean, they put it all through there, but they dismissed any notion of actually calling on the Christian god. I thought it was very interesting.
They made them the people who destroyed heroes and like ended the time of heroes, which is exact opposite of what the original story was.
Interesting.
It's unfortunate.
I really, really, really wanted to like it a lot, but I didn't.
I really, really wanted to like it a lot, and I did.
Well, I didn't know if I really wanted to like it, but I was hoping to like it, and I found out I didn't like it.
Hollywood took a really great old story that's not like anything else you ever see, and they turned it into the same cliche love story you hear over and over and over again. Yeah, but it was pretty cool in some parts.